Before the pandemic, the World Travel and Tourism Council said that the sector contributed $42 billion to sub-Saharan Africa's GDP. That's the travel and tourism industry. But while that sounds big and it is significant, it's only about 1.6% of the global total. Now we have Eva Banjo joining us. She's the founder of Eva's Travel Solutions, a travel agency based in South Africa, and she'll be telling us about what it's like to be a woman in the industry. Eva, welcome to Business Edge. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So let's look at some statistics to start this conversation. So the United Nations World Tourism Organization says that women make up about 69% of the travel and tourism sector's labor force, but tend to be doing the lower level, lower paid jobs. So what are the jobs that women in this industry are taking part in?
Thank you very much. Women have taken up various jobs in the tourism sector, like setting up travel agencies, both locally and internationally. We have women who are into tour operations, reservation services, flight attendants. We have tour guides. We have travel agents, event planners and coordinators and so on. I think they are doing extremely well and excelling in their various fields.
So when you look back at your experience in being part of the industry and then starting and now as you have running your own business, what do you think are some of the biases and obstacles that women in the sector face that either could chase them away or keep them away from reaching a certain level in the industry?
I would say it's been quite challenging and for me and interesting at the same time. Interesting because there's always something new to address for better service delivery. The dynamics of the industry makes room for diversity in what we offer to our different clients. And the challenge is the need for us to always be on our toes to ensure round-the-clock customer satisfaction. I also say inflation is another major factor we're facing.
So what are things like now that the restrictions have been lifted, vaccines are in place, and people are really trying to get back out there? A lot of us want to distance ourselves from the pandemic, so we're looking for vacations that will take our minds off of what we've experienced, but people are not possibly as able to travel as far as they normally would have been. So what's the recovery like so far?
The industry is currently in the recovery mode due to the global pandemic, of course. Restrictions have been lifted and there's been a gradual return to normal life. There has also been a steady recovery in the tourism industry globally. Things are already taking shape gradually and going back to normal. But I think with a lot of innovative offers, this recovery could be fast-tracked through special offers, promotions, additional services, and so on.
So do you think there are particular or specific advantages that come from having women as part of the travel and tourism industry?
Yeah, despite the challenges I explained earlier, there is this natural inclination of customers towards the women folk. The amiable nature of women makes us excellent customer service providers and an attraction in the tourism industry. It gives women an edge and put us at a competitive advantage.
So I have to talk about a trend that I've noticed and one I plan to take part in with a group of friends, and that's the rise of women-only tours and women solo travelers. Not to say that it hasn't been happening before, but now we're seeing that happen in greater numbers. What do you think is going on? What's driving that?
Thank you. I think women seek to empower themselves through self-love and now through travel. I personally love traveling, so I feel it's like a social movement amongst women. It's another way for us to bond during adventures. It's an avenue to inspire and lift each other up. We're not anti-men though, but there is something special that emerges when we have women, a group of women doing things for themselves. I believe it's an avenue to help each other rise to the top. Also, women want to get away from work, family obligations, household duties. So I think it's like an escape. We need a break sometimes, and I think travel unifies and bonds, people.
So to follow up with that, how is the industry responding? So are we seeing that the industry is starting to tailor-make certain offerings and even packages for these groups of women or even solo female travelers that are on the rise now? Are they sort of leading a new direction for the travel and tourism industry?
The tourism industry is among the industry that has been badly hit by the COVID-19 crisis. Sadly, over 120 million jobs were put at risk, and we also saw a decline in patronage as well. I think important trends that would help in the recovery of the travel and tourism sector moving forward would be, firstly, improve travelers' confidence. Yeah, that's the number one. Then secondly, understand and track new market trends and drivers of demand. Then thirdly, we need to commit to build more resilient and inclusive tourism sector, leveraging renewed interest in sustainability. I think these are important takeaways in the long term.
All right, Eva, I'll ask a final question before I let you go. We find that many of us on the continent, it's easier for us to travel outside of the continent than to travel within the continent itself. And of course, you know, there's no place like home, and a prophet is not recognized in his own village. But how do we get Africans to be interested in traveling within Africa so we're not spending so much of our money outside?
Come again, please.
How do we get Africans to be interested in traveling around the continent rather than taking their vacations outside of the continent?
I think the government needs to focus on tourism in Africa more, and try to make it very how will I put it, very interesting for people to travel within Africa instead of going out there.
All right, Eva Banjo, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you sometime soon.
Thank you very much.
And the travel and tourism industry is one, as my guest said, that was heavily and deeply hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. Hundreds of millions of jobs were at risk, but now we're seeing passenger flight numbers back up, and we're seeing tourism destinations also opening back up. Is Africa ready to take advantage of the new generation of travelers? And could women be leading the trend when it comes to travel and tourism? These are things we'll be keeping our eyes on. You're watching Business Edge. We're wrapping things up, but before we do that, here are a few stories we're keeping our eyes on. NC4 to watch starts in East Africa, where Ethiopia's central bank has introduced measures including a ban on using foreign currency in local transactions, tightening already rigid money controls. The move comes at a time when the country's foreign reserves are dropping and its current account deficit widening amid a civil war that broke out nearly 2 years ago. And staying in the region, Kenya's trade deficit for the first 6 months of the year widened by nearly a quarter on elevated expenditure on fuel and factory supplies from abroad, exerting pressures on the shilling and hurting job opportunities. Moving from there, ENI has acquired the British Petroleum Gases business in Algeria. And finally, the Bank of Ghana says that banks or specialized deposit-taking institutions will face an administrative sanction of up to 10,000 penalty units for breach of new guidelines on digital financial services. And that's the business we have for you now. Thank you so much for joining us. Follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also download our mobile app, subscribe to YouTube, and watch us on the various platforms we are available. We have a date, 11 a.m. Thursday, West African time. I'll be here to put African business, the economy, and of course, financial stories front and center. I'm Tolulokwe Adeleru Balogun. Have a fantastic day.